Welcome back. This will be Genesis 25, reading with some commentary. Father God, I thank you for this time. I thank you for your word. Thank you for peace. I thank you for the understanding that you've given me, the little portion of yourself that you've given for me to give to other people. Father, I really just want to bless other people with what you've given to me, because that was the plan the whole time. Holy Spirit, you're welcome here. You're always welcome here. Whatever you want us to know, whatever you want us to think about, whatever you want us to dwell on, to understand, to let go of, bring it up and highlight it, and that's where we'll go. We're here for you, Lord. All this in your beautiful Son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so Genesis 25, a reading and some commentary. Verse 1. Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah. So if we remember, Abraham had his wife, Sarah, and he went out and bought some land and buried her. And paid a good price for it, buried her to where she would not be disturbed. That's an honorable thing to do, and it you bring up you can think about one of the stories in the Gospels that just it irked me for a long time. Like I didn't get it. Was the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish, besides women and children. So he feeds all these people. Okay, let's legitimately say 9,000 people. Okay, he feeds all these people, and they take up 12 baskets with the scraps. Okay, and then I think it's in Luke, maybe in John, there's another rendition of it where they feed like 4,000 and they have like 14 baskets of scraps. But why pick up the scraps? Why? Who cares? Like it's food. It's gonna go somewhere. Why pick up the scraps? And for years it bugged me. It just bugged me. Until the Lord told me one day, He's like, Jake, I don't waste anything. Everything gets used. Everything is precious to me. And it hit me kind of hard, and it changed the way that I think about things in relation to God, because He does use everything. Nothing gets wasted. It says in the Psalms that if you're in sorrow and you're crying tears, that He bottles them up. He remembers them. Who cares? It says, Jesus says that He knows how many hairs are on your head, or when a bird falls out of the sky. He knows all these things. So God is concerned with a thing from the beginning all the way till the end. And that's not the way humanity does it. Humanity is only concerned with the thing as long as it's useful to us. We're not concerned about the thing once it doesn't benefit us anymore. So here you have Abraham burying his wife and doing good by her, doing right by her, honorably by her, all the way till the end. and probably going through his season of mourning, whatever that looks like. And because he's not dead yet, he decides to marry another woman. But he does it the right way. Not moving on to the new one because the old one is boring now. That's not the way God's people do things. God's people honor what God has given us all the way to the end. Either we die or the Lord takes it away. And we honor it the best we can all the way. God's people do that, okay? So now Abraham has another wife. And verse 2, she bore him Zimron, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Asherim, Latushim, and Leomim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, Ephir, Hanok, Abidah, and Eldoah. All these were the children of Keturah. Okay? So Abraham's already got one family, and then he goes out and he's got another family also, right? But the Lord did say, your descendants will number the stars, will be as numerous as the stars, okay? And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. But Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had. And while he was still living, he sent them eastward and away from Isaac his son to the country of the east. Okay. In Proverbs, and we'll get there eventually, hopefully, Lord willing, it says that a wise man leaves a legacy for his grandchildren. There in Proverbs. Now, the legacy could be money, it could be a good name, it could be a good reputation, it could be a house, it could be worldly possessions, it could be any number of things. But a wise man doesn't just leave for his sons, but also for his grandsons. And that's important. I think that's pretty important because especially kind of in our culture today, it's like parenting is a job, and eventually we're going to retire from it. So then we can go off and live our best lives. But that's not the way parenting is supposed to be. Parenting is supposed to be for life. The Lord blesses you with kids. If you have them, if you don't, hopefully the Lord has blessed you another way. And you have them till either you die or they die. One or the other. It's not a job. It's not. It's not an occupation. It's not a part-time job. It's not in addition to the job that you already work. No, that's your life. That's the reason why you do the other things that you do is for these kids. So a wise man knows that my responsibility to mentor, to mold, and to guide doesn't stop with the first generation that I made. It continues on after them. As I shape my sons, so then I shape my grandsons, is how a wise man thinks, and this is in the Bible. So here we have maybe not exactly, technically, yeah. We have Abraham becoming a grandpa, and he gives everything, he gave all that he had to Isaac, but he did not forsake the rest of them. Now, Isaac was the firstborn, and Abraham loved him, so he gets like the most of the blessing. But all the rest of them get something too. So none of the kids could say, I am unloved, because they're not. They may not be as loved as Isaac is, but they weren't forgotten about. And that's important. Because we know how favoritism kind of works with kids. We know quite a bit more about it now. All right. Verse 7. This is the sum of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. That's a long time. Then Abraham breathed his last and died in a very old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beer Lahai Roi. Okay. That's kind of an important thing there too, that Abraham goes and he gets buried with his bride. Now he has Keturah, but he goes back and he's buried with Sarah. And that's love. So even in death, they're united again. And for the most part, we still kind of do that, as long as we can afford to buy a burial plot or something of that nature. But, that's... Abraham, he goes and he buys that whole plot of land, and his buries his wife there, hires people to take care of it, to keep it in good order, keep it clean and presentable, and when he's gone, he gets buried back there. That's the way to do it. Verse 12. Now this is a genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael, by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, then Kedar, Abdeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Masa, Hadar, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedema. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names, by their towns and their settlements, 12 princes according to their nations. 12 princes, 12 tribes of Judah. The 12 children of Jacob, we'll get there. The 12 disciples. That's one of God's favorite numbers. It's 12 there. We notice that by their towns and their settlements. So again, back in these days, a town or a grouping of people would be named after the person who kind of started everyone settling there. And over time, names have changed, but some of them have not. So it's kind of the culture of how names of towns and colonies and cities, whatever, started back in these days. 17. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he breathed his last, and he died, and he was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Egypt, as you go towards Assyria. He died in the presence of all of his brethren. He died loved. 19. This is a genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah his wife conceived. But their children struggled together within her, and she said, "If all is well, why am I like this?" So she went in to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb. Two people shall be separated from your body. One people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger." 24. So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, excuse me, indeed there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over, so they called his name Esau. After his brother came out, and his hand, afterward his brother came out, and his hand took a hold of Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. Okay. So she has twins. And God says, two nations are in your womb. All right. The plans that God has for your life are bigger than just getting a spouse, having some kids, getting a house with a yard and a couple of dogs, getting a stable job, living a quiet, peaceful, safe life, settling down, and blending into the mundane of society. While that's not such a bad thing, because Paul tells us later in the Word, Thessalonians maybe, to live a quiet, peaceful life, the plans that God has for your life are bigger, and the fruit of that life lived in obedience to Him will ring true for generations to come. So God isn't looking at how your life is going to be satisfying for you. He's looking at how your life is supposed to be fruitful for the generations that follow. And that is something entirely different, because it's possible that you could do something sinful or something like with Abraham. So Abraham goes and he's going through Egypt, and he tells Sarah to pretend he's his sister so that Abraham doesn't get killed and then somebody else takes her. But then Lot does the same thing when he goes through there. So it's possible that you could do something that causes a generational cycle of sin, and that just becomes in your bloodline now. It becomes in the nervous system of your blood, in the mind of your blood, and the biology of your bloodline changes to accommodate this sin. But the same is also true for righteousness. It's possible that you could do something great with your life, and your biology morphs and changes to accommodate this goodness, this righteousness, this obedience to God. And it just goes on generation after generation. So your life is not comprised of what you do until you die. That's not the epitome of the life that you have. Your life is bigger than that. It's farther reaching than that. And I know they're probably not going to care about you on social media once you're gone, but that's not important anyway. What is important is, what kind of legacy are you going to leave for your grandkids? That's what's important. Are you going to do right before in the eyes of the Lord or not? Right? Are you going to live obediently to Him? That's important, because when the time is right, God will bring it to the remembrance of all the people around, a thing that you have done, so that you either will be remembered the right way or the wrong way. You'll either be an example to follow or an example to never become. God will do that. All right, so your life is bigger than what you can see. All right, 27. So the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So we got favorites. 29. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary." Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright as of this day." And Esau said, "Look, I am about to die, so what is this birthright to me?" Then Jacob said, "Swear to me as to this day." So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Okay. You want to be careful of anyone who comes seeking something that you have. And from a worldly perspective, that may seem like well, yeah, duh. But from a godly perspective, it's something a little different. It's something a little more serious. Okay, if someone's seeking to try to get your car from you or get your job from you, yeah, that sucks. But those things can be replaced. Okay, you can get another car, you can get another job, and should the Lord be for you, like He says He is, it's going to be a better one or more suitable one anyway. But when you're talking about having godliness like all over you, like this spiritual anointing oil all over you, and someone's coming to try to take that from you, that's something different. Because they're not just asking for you to give the thing. They're asking for you to give up your future, your identity, and your portion with the Lord. That's what they're trying to get from you. And, you know, we read this word and it's 2,000-3,000 years old. So like, well, that happened back in the day and, you know, it doesn't really apply anymore, but it does. You still have people out here you still have these demonic entities out here that are trying to get your godliness, your portion with Christ. They're trying to take it away from you. Still. Right? They're trying to get you to stop following the Lord so that you don't go to heaven. They're trying to get you to stop saying Jesus' name so that it diminishes your relationship and you don't get blessings in heaven. You don't get rewards in heaven. They're trying to get you to be quiet about God at all so that nobody else can get back to the Father based on what you have gone through. You still have people that are doing this. It's not just some weird Hollywood thing. There are people that do this. And, you know, you hear it a lot with rock musicians, blues musicians. "Oh, I sold my soul to the devil." No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You can't sell something that doesn't belong to you in the first place. You can side with what the devil tells you, but you can't give your soul away because you don't even own it. But that is a version of this right here. Well, sell me your birthright. But he's tired. He's not thinking because he's tired. He's lethargic. He's probably a little hangry, right? So he's like, I'm about ready to die. What difference does it make anyway? You want to be especially careful with decisions that you have to make and opportunities and options that come up when you're desperate for something. That's when you want to be careful, okay? Notice Jesus, after Jesus gets baptized, the Spirit of the Lord leads him into the wilderness to be tested. But the devil doesn't come to him in the beginning. Satan comes to him at the end when he's already weak and tired. Okay, think about that for a minute. Why isn't the devil going to hit you when you're strong? Well, because it's not going to work. Because his power and his influence is not enough. If you're strong in the Lord and you're walking side by side, holding hands with Jesus, if you're doing that and you're walking the walk you're supposed to be, the devil can't get you. He can't get you directly. So he's got to get to you through a vulnerability. Okay? So one vulnerability will be someone that you love. Your family, your spouse, friends, coworkers. Another vulnerability will be an unhealed trauma or some hurt you have in your heart or in your soul that you're trying not to, or that is still hurting or aching because it's unhealed, right? For example. But another one will be when you're tired and desperate because you lose your self-control, lose your willpower, you lose your patience. I'll do anything just to make this feeling go away. And the devil's like, I was hoping you'd say that. I was hoping you'd say that because, boy, do I have a terrible deal for you. Check this thing out over here. This looks like what you say you want, but it only looks like it. And I'm not going to tell you anything else. I'm going to let you find out the hard way. But you're going to give me what I want first. Right? And God's people are warned to turn back to the Father when we get lost. Like, stop, cry out to him when we get lost. Okay? Because Jesus said he'll leave the 99 to go get the one that's lost and bring it back. He'll do it. He will go and snatch him right out of the lion's mouth. He'll do it. He's done it to me. Or he's done it for me. So it's especially important that it's important that you don't make worldly decisions when you're angry. Let's see. When you're hungry, angry, lazy, tired. Halt. It's important. But it's more important that you don't make spiritual decisions and decisions about your eternal future when you're in one of those four conditions. It's even more important, okay? If you feel rushed to make a decision, that is not of God. That is straight from the depths of hell. There are some things that God has a window of opportunity on. Yes, but his window of opportunity is not like 15 seconds. Oh, you missed out. It's gone forever. No, that's not true at all. Now, the devil will tell you, hey, man, you only got like 5 seconds to get in on. You better get in on this. It's going. Okay, you missed out. Well, you're just going to have to deal with it. You didn't want it anyway. You didn't want it anyway. It's a bait and switch, or it's an empty promise. Or it was a Trojan horse full of spiritual cancer or trauma, turmoil, toxicity. You don't want those things. You want what God has for you. And what God has for you is, number one, it's going to edify your soul. Number two, it's going to provide what you need and bring you peace. And number three, it's going to make him look really good We call it giving the Father glory. It's going to make him look good. And other people are going to be like, how can I get some of that too? Well, you go ask him. That's how. Okay. But then what do you do if the person that the devil is using to try to take your eternal blessings and your rewards? What if the devil is using your family? That's a tough one. And this is why Jesus says in Luke that, or the writer of Luke recounts that when Jesus is like, hey, if you want to be my disciple, you got to count the cost. You have to love me over everything, including your family, your wife or your husband, your kids, your mother, father, brothers, sisters, your job, yourself. You have to love me more than anything else if you're going to be my disciple, because the devil will use all those things as leverage to try to drive a wedge between you and God. He'll put you in a situation where maybe you got to choose your wife or you choose Jesus. Which one's it going to be? You choose your wife. Okay. Now you miss out on some blessings. But then maybe you gain some other ones. All right. So this is a good story. You want to be careful of selling your future, selling your inheritance, selling your portion with Jesus that you may not see or comprehend right now for something that you can see right now but will be gone tomorrow. You want to be careful of that. Esau was not careful of that. And he knew it. He knew he had done wrong. So that's why the word says, thus Esau despised his birthright. Because he knew he had done wrong, but he became proud. I didn't want that stupid birthright anyway. Who needs it? I'm a hunter. I'll be just fine on my own. And that's what we do. That's what we do right there. Instead of being like, oh man, I made a terrible mistake. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I made a mistake. We're like, I don't care. Doesn't bother me. I'm good. Pride, man. Pride is so bad that Satan has his own hellish kingdom because of pride. All right. So anyway, that's Genesis 25. Hope you learned something. If not, that's okay. There's plenty more to come.